Good morning, folks. Welcome to this meeting of the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works. Hope everybody is having a lovely morning and happy that it's Friday. I certainly am. Friday, nobody seems to want to show their faces. It's just us. I feel like we're in a vacuum. There's Ted Jordan and Esom and Larry Shue. Good. And Wayne, now they're coming. Now people are trickling in with their faces. All right.
Now you've put pressure on everyone.
I'm not averse to creating pressure, you know it. All right, folks, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Campos.
Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today for Friday, August 13, 2021. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. President Good, at this time you do have quorum. Currently, we do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We also have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comments section. No callers on the line for any of the items for today's agenda as well, and we are joined also by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan.
All right. So, thank you, Dr. Campos. We will go straight to the minutes from Wednesday, July 28, 2021. I'll motion to approve those minutes. So I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any objections, Garcia, Caloza, or Villegas? All right. Hearing none, the minutes from Wednesday, July 28, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. We will, as off the bat, I'm going to continue as noted in the agenda, item number 1 to Friday, August 27th, 2021. Any concerns or objections, colleagues? All right, so we will see it on the calendar for the 27th. Thank you, Dr. Campos. That brings us to item number 2. Item number 2. Street closure extension. We got Larry Shue in the mix. And I think I saw Matt on here. Matt Antonelli's here. Street closure extension, Metro Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project, Temple Street between Alameda and Turner Street. For the record, recommending the board, 1, find that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project Draft Environmental Impact Statement, Environmental Impact Report, and the final EIS/EIR. 2, find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record, that since certification of the EIS/EIR, there have been no changes with respect to the circumstances under which the temporary street closure being undertaken would require a subsequent EIR or supplemental EIR. 3, adopt the January 2012 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, Chapter 8 of the final EIS/EIR, and Appendix 3, Memorandum of Agreement prepared by Metro as it pertains to construction impacts. 4, find under CEQA Guidelines Section 15091 that changes have been incorporated into the project which substantially lessen the significant environmental effects as identified in the final EIS/EIR. Further, find that there is no feasible alternative or additional feasible mitigation measures within the board's powers that would substantially lessen any significant effect the project would have on the environment. 5, adopt the attached CEQA findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations as it pertains to the temporary street closure, and find that the economic, social, technological, and other benefits of the project outweigh significant and unavoidable impacts. 6, specify that the Metro Transit Division of the Bureau of Engineering, located at 1149 South Broadway, the board, located at 200 North Spring Street, and other relevant City of Los Angeles departments are custodians of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. 7, approve the request to extend the temporary closure of Temple Street between Alameda Street and Turner Street for 36 calendar days, starting Sunday, August 15, 2021 at 9 p.m. and ending Monday, September 20, 2021 at 5 a.m., subject to the conditions identified within this report. 8, approve the peak hour exemption request to allow construction work within the public right-of-way during weekday morning peak hours 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and weekday afternoon peak hours 3:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. starting Monday, August 16, 2021, and ending Friday, September 17, 2021 for Temple Street between Alameda Street and Turner Street, subject to the conditions identified within this report. And 9, authorize the city engineer and the director of the Bureau of Street Services to administratively approve an extension of up to 7 additional calendar days for the closure of Temple Street and the associated peak hour exemption beginning Monday, September 20, 2021 at 5 a.m. and ending Monday, September 27, 2021 at 5 a.m. if unforeseen conditions are encountered which may delay the completion of this construction. Work order E190739-4. Mr. Shu, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for reading that in. This is Larry Shu from the Bureau of Engineering Metro Transit Division. The Metro Regional Connector Project is a 1.9-mile underground light rail transit line that will extend from a newly relocated Little Tokyo Arts District station to the 7th Street Metro Center. It includes 2 additional stations at the historic Broadway and Grand Avenue Arts / Bunker Hill station location. This ongoing street closure is one in a series of closures as the Regional Connector team completes underground work, backfills excavations, and restores city streets. The Regional Connector project is scheduled to reach revenue service in the fall of 2022. On January 26, 2021, the board authorized a 6-month temporary street closure of Temple Street between Alameda Street and Turner Street, beginning January 29, 2021, and ending August 1st, 2021. The closure facilitates the construction of an underground train guideway structure, relocation of utilities, and backfilling and striping of the roadway and roadway restoration. In accordance with the prior board authorization, recommendation number 9, BOE and the Streets LA, Bureau of Street Services, also administratively approved 14 additional calendar days from August 1st, 2021 until August 15th, 2021. Metro and their contractor, the Regional Connector Constructors, are requesting to extend the ongoing closure for an additional 36 calendar days starting Sunday, August 15th to Monday, September 20th, 2021. During the final stages of street restoration, it became apparent that the approved roadway design for Temple Street would not meet city standards, and the newly constructed curb lines would not tie in correctly with the existing roadway elevations. The requested street closure extension is necessary for the time needed to redesign the roadway and expand the work limits in order to meet city street standards. BOE is currently awaiting a revision of the design from RCC, expected today, and approval is anticipated within days upon checking that previous city review comments have been resolved. Similar to the prior approval, recommendation number 9 of this report authorizes the city engineer and the director of the Bureau of Street Services to administratively approve an extension of up to 1 week from September 20th, 2021 to September 27th, 2021 if unforeseen conditions are encountered which may delay the completion of this construction. Besides the design issue described above, the other major design submittals have been approved by BOE and other bureaus. There are no unresolved notices of noncompliance issued by Bureau of Contract Administration, and there's no change to the worksite traffic control plan, which was previously approved by DOT and is currently implemented. As part of evaluating this request, staff from the Bureau's Environmental Management Division reviewed the environmental documentation from Metro and generated a memo attached to this report, which summarizes the impacts and mitigation measures associated with this report. Metro Construction Relations has informed the public of this planned closure extension through a series of virtual stakeholder briefings and community meetings. Adjacent stakeholders include the Little Tokyo Community Council and Business Association, Arts District Business Improvement District, Arts District Little Tokyo Neighborhood Council, Fire Station Number 4, Emergency Operations Center, City of Los Angeles Personnel Department, City of Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, and we are not aware of any community objections to this request. City Council District 14 has communicated its support of this request. That concludes my report. We have staff from BOE, LADOT, Metro, and RCC available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shu. Colleagues, any questions? I mean, I know Mr. Antonelli's here, but I don't know if there's much. If there's anything you want to add, feel free. But otherwise, we'll see what the board would like to hear.
No, I'm here for any questions that are needed. Happy to answer.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, Commissioner Villegas, any questions on your end?
Thank you. I appreciate the report. It's very thorough. Thank you for going through that, Larry. I don't have any questions. I see that we have an extension until September 20th. Is there, I guess, just one, I mean, because we're obviously going through another wave of extension. Is this, I guess unforeseeable, but do we need to extend it any further, or is this the amount of time that is needed?
Yeah, I think we debate this as a project, and we feel confident that this extension will be able to cover the design reviews and the work, construction work. The contractor worked really hard to finish this on time, and we would have finished it on time if it wasn't for this issue that kind of popped up last minute. And we just felt like it was best to redo the design and give a final product that meets the city standards and that everyone can be proud of. As Larry mentioned, we are expecting the submittal to come in today from RCC, and I really appreciate Larry and his team. They are expediting the reviews and partnering with us, and it's very appreciative from Metro and the project to expedite those and get the work started. So we feel confident that we can get there.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner or Vice President Garcia.
I don't have any questions. Good morning, everyone. But I don't have any questions. Commissioner Villegas asked my question.
Okay. Okay. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, sir. I'm okay on this item. No questions for me.
And Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Shu. Nice to see Mr. Antonelli and Mr. Arroyo. I guess I would like to hear from Metro directly about what happened here. I know we're kind of glossing over this a little bit, but, this is a major design flaw that was caught at the 11th hour. And from what I heard, it was something that was a BCA caught it when they were doing a final walkthrough, that these streets weren't up to our city standards, which to me is a little bit shocking considering how far along this project is to make such a major mistake that's now causing a lot of people to be inconvenienced. And I understand that, Metro's taking a hit here because you're going to have to redo a ton of work in the street, but I just want to be clear about what this actually is and for us to not gloss over this major mistake that's causing this extension. So I would love to hear from you, Mr. Antonelli, exactly what happened here. And, all of this is kind of pending that these approvals that we anticipate to occur in 2 days are actually, going to be, ready, right? This closure and this calendaring that we did is really dependent on that this is in good shape now. So I would love to hear from you directly.
Yeah, absolutely. The project works really hard, our design team works really hard to design everything perfect the first time, and we, throughout the whole project, and the thousands of sheets that we do design, there are issues across the board that we catch later on through construction and have to have RFIs or other means to address those issues. What happened in this one here is, as the roadway was being put back in place, they required us to do some new curbs and some sidewalks and curb and gutter lines along Temple Street. And as soon as those were put in place and put for the survey, the approved survey, we recognized right away that there was a grade bust in there. It wasn't going to be able to have the right cross slopes in the road. We did talk about how we can design out of that situation. We had some ideas we ran by with BOE and with ConAd. And at the end of the day, none of it made sense. We didn't want to put a band-aid on it. We wanted to own the mistake and do it right. I can't give you a reason of why it was designed the way it was, other than I could just say that mistake was made, and we're trying to right that and make the best situation out of it. We are going through that design. We have rechecked and redesigned all the profiles on the roadway. And our contractor's on standby. And as soon as we get the approval, even if it doesn't happen within the 2 days, we're going to do everything we can to open that roadway early. And that last day is kind of the worst case scenario. We want to open simple. It doesn't do us any good to leave the street closed. So we're doing our best to open as soon as we can.
So when this was discovered, you all actually restored the street already, right?
No. We put the curb and gutter line in.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had that compared to the old roadway, the existing roadway, there was an obvious break in the elevation. So we actually never tied that final roadway piece in. As soon as we put the curb line in, it was obvious to all the parties that there was an issue here that we needed to address. So we stopped the work and went back and met with BOE and the team to make sure that we had a right solution to move forward.
And Mr. Shu, do you feel? I know you're waiting on the approvals. I don't know if you had a chance to see the updated designs for our plan check, and do you feel like it's in a place where this schedule that you've put before the board makes sense now? I just know we've been going through so many extensions for this project. And of course, we want this project to finish. We're also supportive of this regional connector and the public transportation it's going to bring, but also want to be mindful of ongoing interruptions to businesses in this area that are being impacted.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a tricky business. Bringing a report to the board takes some time itself, and when we embark on making a request to the board, we also have to estimate, day for day, kind of what's going to happen in the next few days. At the time when we started the board report, we didn't even hadn't seen the design, I don't think. So we have seen it one time, and our design team, our review team, looked and think that the comments that we made are can be addressed, and we are hopeful that this revision will come back in a form that we can approve right away. I know both Metro and BOE's team have been talking, so it's not just ping ponging back and forth, but maybe some dialogue so that each side knows what the other expects. I think this request, there was some uncertainty, and we wanted to provide the contractor and Metro the flexibility to open it as soon as possible, as soon as we can get through the design and the street could be constructed. And we're hopeful that they'll beat the deadline. But
thank you, Mr. Shu. That's helpful to know your reading and recommendation for this. And just a last question for me, Mr. Antonelli, is given that this happened, and we're so close, right, to almost getting towards the end of this project, I'm curious if your team has done a second look or another look at any other designs as we kind of wrap up and restore our streets and make sure that this doesn't happen for any of the remaining parts of the closure that you're all trying to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. We are still, there's still a number of the areas, or actually all the areas we haven't done our final restoration for. There's still ADA ramps we need to do. There's still some curb and gutters, some restoration of sidewalk. Look at Flower Street and 2nd Street. It goes across the alignment. So points well taken, and we will make that message clear to our design team and to the Metro and RCC team to maybe do a second look at all of our designs, making sure that they meet the city standards. But we do a lot of planning, and again, a mistake was made on this one, and we're trying to own it, but we don't want to impact the community. We don't want to impact the stakeholders. We're trying to address those, and that's where, the Temple Street in particular, it was a little tough because we really thought we were going to beat there, get there on time and finish, and this came up. So, point taken. We will take a look at everything else, making sure that everything's in place.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli, and I know this was not easy to, talk to us about this because you're taking over and transitioning still, I'm sure, from your predecessor, but I appreciate you explaining what happened, and it's always good to hear from you directly. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Just again, to clarify, the design was done by the contractor, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Closa, for your questions. Appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Thank you, Mr. Shu. And Ms. Arroyo, I'm assuming plenty of outreach has been done, giving everybody the heads up this is happening.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, President Good. Yes, we continue our information dissemination to the local communities, the Arts District and Little Tokyo. We've been presenting to community-based organizations and neighborhood councils, informing them of the extension. We are also in close communication with emergency responders who have offices on Temple Street, and so they understand that this extension is being proposed, and will confirm, should the board approve it, what the new dates are so that they continue planning their operations. There are no businesses on this corridor of Temple Street, and so there's no direct impact to mom and pop shops. Nonetheless, we are coordinating with the Business Association in Little Tokyo so that they can also share that information with their members.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Arroyo. All right. Thanks, everybody, for the discussion. I will take a motion to approve the extension.
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. I'll second. Do I have any concerns from Dr. Davis, Commissioners Villegas, Vice President Garcia?
No, I don't have any concerns. I just will recap to say that in contract administration, we inspect what we expect. And this is an example of the work that we do time and again, and you can count on it. So with that, I support the motion.
I like that, Mike. We inspect and what we expect. Very good. All right. Thank you. So hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Larry. And thank you, Esther. And good luck. Let's meet that deadline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as Mike said, we'll be inspecting our expectations. Thanks, y'all. Have a good weekend, okay? All right, folks, let's go to item, I'll tell you what, we're going to take items 3, 4, 5, and 6 together. I'm going to read them all into the record real fast. And then who's here? Oh, Mr. Espindola. Hello, George.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. All right. Item 3, contract acceptance, super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers contract. Recommending the board accept the 938 projects of the Sewers 5 contract as indicated in the attached project summary report. Work order SZC 12371. Item 4, contract acceptance, sidewalk repair program package number 43. Recommending the board accept this contract. Work order E1908374. Item 5, contract acceptance, sidewalk repair program, small sidewalk repair access request acceleration package number 6. Recommending the board accept this contract, work order E1908705. And item 6, contract acceptance, Latuna Canyon emergency storm drain and embankment repair. Recommending the board accept this contract, work order E1908378. Mr. Espindola, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you. I'll begin with item number 3. George Espindola with the Bureau of Contract Administration. The 5th expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewer contracts, which is Sewers 5, was awarded to 3 contractors, Matthew and Stewart Incorporated, M&R Construction, and Tomovich and Associates on May 2nd, 2013, in the amount of $20 million. Notice to proceed was issued on May 2nd, 2013. On August 31st, 2016, the board authorized an increase from $20 million to $25 million. On February 7, 2018, the board authorized an increase from $25 million to $26 million. These projects perform urgent repairs and placements of damaged sewer pipes up to 24 inches throughout the city of Los Angeles. The total cost of this project is $25,550,572 with 27 cents for a total of 938 projects completed. Funding was through Fund 760 and 761. BCA's Office of Contract Compliance has found that this contractor has met all the equal employment opportunities and labor compliance requirements of the contract. There are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds in connection to these projects. That concludes item number 3. Item number 4, the sidewalk repair package number 43 project was awarded to John S. Meek Company Incorporated on May 1st, 2019 in the amount of $366,975 with a not to exceed amount of $440,370. The project repaired damaged sidewalk, curb ramps, tree pruning, also included relocation of traffic signal system equipment. This work was adjacent to city facilities in Council District 1 and 14. Three change orders were issued totaling $18,569 with 69 cents, increasing the total cost of this project to $385,544 with 69 cents. Final corrections were completed on May 27, 2020. Funding was through Fund number 57F, Sidewalk and Curb and Gutter Repair Fund. BCA's Office of Contract Compliance has found that this contractor has met all the equal employment opportunities and labor compliance requirements of the contract. There are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds in connection with this project. That concludes item number 4. Item number 5, it's also a sidewalk repair program package number 6. This was entered into agreement with the City of Los Angeles and EBS General Engineering on March 6, 2020 in the amount of $60,733 with 92 cents with a not to exceed amount of $99,999. Notice to proceed was issued on March 31st, 2020. This project provided for removal and replacement of damaged sidewalks, curb and gutter, curb ramps in Council Districts 5 and 7. One change order was issued increasing the contract amount by $3,778 with 87 cents, bringing the total cost of this project to $64,512 with 77 cents. Final corrections were completed on September 9, 2020. Funding was through Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program, Special Fund 59B. BCA's Office of Contract Compliance has found that this contractor has met all the equal employment opportunities and labor compliance requirements of the contract. There are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds in connection to this project. So that brings me to item number 6, which is the last one. This is the La Tuna Canyon Emergency Storm Drain Embankment Phase 1 and Phase 2 repair. This was awarded to John S. Meek Incorporated on October 24, 2018 in the amount of $2,077,923 with a not to exceed amount of $2,313,362 with 73 cents. A notice to proceed was issued on November 5, 2018. On September 13, 2019 and December 18, 2019, the board approved $1,600,000 and $250,000 respectively to add Phase 2 of repairs. This project installed 332 feet, 7-foot diameter concrete pipe and constructed inlet and outlet storm structures in Council District 7. 11 change orders were issued totaling $1,943,386 with 92 cents, increasing the total cost of this project to $4,021,309 with 92 cents. Final corrections were completed on May 12, 2020. Funding was through Special Gas Tax Improvement Fund 206, SB1, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund 59B, and the Tuna Canyon Storm Drain Roadway Stabilization. BCA's Office of Contract Compliance has found that this contractor has met all the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements of the contract. There are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds in connection to this project. That concludes all for contract acceptance.
Thank you, Mr. Espindola. Inspecting what we're expecting, or for what we're.
That's right. I wrote down that phrase.
John will love it. All right, do I have a motion to accept and approve items 3, 4, 5, and 6?
So move.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns, Closa or Villegas? All right, items 3, 4, 5, and 6 are adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Espindola. Have a good weekend, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that brings us to item 7. Item 7 is contract amendment number 1, Destination Crenshaw Outdoor Museum Project. Recommending the board approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor requesting the following. A, approve amendment number 1 to the contract between the City of Los Angeles and Destination Crenshaw to increase the total contract term from 16 months to 24 months and to modify terms of the contract as described in contract amendment number 1. B, authorize the city engineer to execute amendment number 1. And C, authorize the city engineer or designee to make any technical or accounting changes as necessary to effectuate the intent of this motion. Work order E1908269 and C134516. Before we started the presentation, I do want to ask one procedural question. Mr. Jordan and Dr. Campos, shouldn't this amendment actually be signed also by the president or 2 board members?
Yeah, I'm taking a look at that now. Yes, I believe so.
I concur with that recommendation also, Mr. Chair. On recommendation 1B, I believe, should indicate authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract amendment. The original contract was adopted and approved back in November of 2019 or about that time period. And it was noted by the city clerk's office for the president or 2 members to sign the contract as well. However, there are documentations in the file that do authorize this board to move forward with the contract execution as authorized by the city council. So in short, I would make a recommendation to your board to consider amending the recommendation to authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract amendment.
Yeah, so this one's it's just a little different than typical contracts because it has gone through a sort of a separate council process. So that's why this one's set up a little bit different.
That makes sense. If we move forward, we'll I think I'll move to amendment. All right, Mr. Fierce, I take it, are you here for this presentation?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good morning. Okay, so the background on this project is the current contract between Destination Crenshaw and the city requires that Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority funds be transferred to the city before any work can begin. On November 13th, 2019, the Board of Public Works delegated authority to the city engineer to negotiate and execute the contract and the grant and to be the grant administrator on behalf of the city. After the contract was executed, Metro signed an agreement to be executed to transfer property and Metro required an agreement to be executed to transfer the property and funds. At the time of preparing this report, we noted that the city and Metro have not executed the memorandum of agreement needed for Metro to transfer $14.5 million in funds to the city project. Since then, the City Council adopted the memorandum of agreement on July 2nd, and on July 30th, the MOA between the city and Metro was fully executed. To proceed with the project implementation, the state funds will be used to front fund the Metro funds in order to allow the project to begin and not to delay the work. Council District 8 has requested and supports this request to use state funds as front funding for the Metro funds. This amendment extends the contract term expiration from March 31st, 2021 to November 24th, 2021, and allows state funds to be used as front funding for Metro funds. On June 25th, 2021, the mayor's chief procurement officer granted a waiver for the business inclusion program for this contract. The local business preference program is not needed on this project and will not be applied. The proposed amendment has been reviewed and approved as to form by the city attorney's office. In regards to funding, the city council established the Destination Crenshaw State and Destination Crenshaw Metro accounts within the Capital Improvement Expenditure Program. City funds of $1.5 million were deposited in fund number 100, Department 56, and state funds of $10 million were deposited into fund 100, Department number 54. Upon receipt of funds from Metro, the funds will be deposited into a new account entitled Destination Crenshaw Metro with the Capital Improvement Expenditure Program, fund number 100. Since the state funds will be used to front fund the Metro funds will be used to replenish the state funds. To summarize, this request is primarily to provide administrative authority for accounting to disperse funds and extend the contract duration. This specific need is to be able to address the current required quarterly payments. With that ends my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Appreciate that. A little bit for questions. Vice President Garcia.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Fierce. I have just one quick question. I know you went through a lot of the funding, but can you just reiterate where the funding source is coming from?
Yes, there's 1.5 million in city funds, and there's 10 million of state funds, and 14.5 million of Metro funds. It's a total of 26 million.
And with this 26 million, is that the total cost to complete the Destination Crenshaw project? Probably not.
I actually have, I'd like to defer that question. I have Joanne Zane. She's the project manager here on the call. I'm not sure if that includes BOE staff costs.
Okay.
Can Joanne answer that question?
Hi, this is Joanne speaking. In terms of BOE costs for BOE, this does not include the costs for BOE staff costs.
Okay. So will that be included, or how are we going to kind of cover that cost?
Right. So we have spoken to the council office, and we have provided our estimate for the duration of the contract, and they are looking for funds right now to be able to reimburse us for our staff costs.
Okay, no problem.
We're working closely with them.
Okay, thank you for that. That's all for my questions.
And Vice President Garcia, were you also asking what the overall cost of this project?
Yeah, I know. Thank you for that. Actually, I wanted to, so does the 26 only cover the overall cost, some portion of it? And do you know the overall cost?
So the overall costs is actually managed by Destination Crenshaw, the nonprofit. And so this is just the portion of the funding that is from government funds. So this does not cover all of the required costs for the Destination Crenshaw project.
And do you know the amount of the cost of the total for the Destination Crenshaw project?
At this time, I haven't seen the estimate for the ongoing costs because of there have been some increases in costs, I believe. So I can ask for that and provide that back to you.
Okay, no problem. Yes, I appreciate that. But other than that, I just wanted to see where we were getting this funding from, and then also, this is a portion, how much more do we still have to go to complete this project? But I appreciate you letting us know where the funding streams are coming from. Sorry about that. Thank you.
I think there's not insignificant. Sorry, Ms. Yang. I believe that there's not there's some not insignificant private fundraising that's happening in conjunction with this.
Nice.
Very substantial. And I think actually Destination Crenshaw, the nonprofit, is very much engaged in that, is doing that. So.
Oh, good. Okay, good. We'll look forward to completing this project, actually. Thank you so much.
And CDA is raising money pretty aggressively. Yeah.
Got it.
It's a long-term gig where the pieces are being handled along the way.
Completely understand.
So, President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
Yeah, I think that you're correct. It's a private-public partnership. And the reason for the nonprofit or the authority is to manage those funds that are non-government funds, as was stated by the presenter. And it's a similar model that we often use. We used it on the rail transportation system. For example, you had an exposition line authority, as well as some of the other monies that we got from federal government and others. My question is, in terms of front funding, the state dollars are going to front fund the money that we're receiving from the MTA, is what I think I heard the presenter say. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then when they do it, how long do you think it will be, or do we have some date of some proximity of time in which it will be reimbursed to us?
Again, I'd like to defer that response to Joanne. Do you have a timing on that?
Yeah, so currently we are working on the Metro MOA that was already executed. So now that it's been executed, we're just working on the grant deed, and then the money will come and reimburse. The money will come from Metro, and that will reimburse the state funds that we front funded.
So we are using 10 million in state funds, correct?
That's correct.
And it seems as if I heard that in terms of the MTA funds, it would be 14 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have 14.5 million in MTA.
Explain to me the 4.5 million in addition to the reimbursement, where and how we will use the 4.5 million out of the allocation of the MTA funds. Given that we are front funding 10 million of it, the 4.5 comes to us as well, correct?
Right, so we have 14.5 million in Metro funds, and then we have 10 million for state funds. It's in our breakdown, we have specific items that are used for, that are funded by state funds, and specific items funded by Metro funds. Because some of the Metro work is needed right now in this next quarter, we will use the state funds to front fund that now, and then use the Metro, once the Metro funds come in, that will reimburse the state funds. But in total, the 26 million, we will actually, it will all go, the 14.5 million will at the end fund all of the Metro items. The state funds.
I see. So it's all encompassed. Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for your report. I don't have any questions. I appreciate my colleagues' questions just to give more context. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. And Commissioner Closer.
Good. I don't have any questions on this item. I'm really looking forward to seeing this project complete, and it's a huge investment in South LA, and I know Dr. Davis also does so much work in South LA and making sure that it's a rich, vibrant community. So I just can't wait to see this done and go visit Destination Crenshaw. So thanks also to the council office for all their investment in this.
Yeah, thank you. Agreed. This is a ambitious marathon, is what it's going to be. But it'll be worth it. And yeah, I think the council office deserves a lot of credit, in particular Joanne Kim, who I trust is listening and is doing relentless and great work. And thanks BOE. And my understanding is part of the just the dynamic here is that there's a lot of work to be done on the sort of prescriptive nature of Metro's funding. So this is great to be able to move forward with some of this right now. So all right, I will motion to approve the item with a motion, well, motion to amend item, or excuse me, I will motion to amend recommendation 1B to include a requirement that the amendment be signed by the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works. Any objections to my motion to amend?
Second.
All right, thank y'all. And so then I will motion to approve the item as amended. Do I have a second there?
Second.
All right, President Pro Tem Davis, thank you. Any concerns or objections? Vice President Garcia, Commissioners Closer, Villegas.
None for me.
All right, then the item is adopted as amended forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Fierce. Thank you, Ms. Jane. And looking forward to this continuing to grind forward. So thank y'all very much. All right, with that, that brings us to item number 8. I think I saw Mr. Young on here. Mr. Young, we have status update on major upcoming street improvement projects. Bureau of Street Services, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Yes. This information is being provided to keep the public informed on upcoming resurfacing projects to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays to the commuters. The following major street projects scheduled for Metro resurfacing region will during the week of August 22nd through the 28th, Saturday 21st and Sunday the 22nd from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will cold mill and pave Normandy Avenue from Carson Street to city limits of south of 225th Street and CD 15, Harbor Gateway South Neighborhood Council. In addition, Metro area will complete 7.25 lane miles for the week of the 22nd to the 28th of August. Also, Valley region, we will Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will cold mill and pave Laurel Canyon Boulevard from Roscoe to Satakoy in CD2. And that's the end for my report.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Any questions, colleagues? All right. Hey, thank you for your report, Mr. Young. Have a great weekend, okay?
You too.
All right, now we move to item number 9. Item number 9 is a stormwater capture update from the Bureau of Sanitation. This was continued from Friday, July 30th, 2021. Mr. Tam, good morning, sir.
Good morning there. I'm glad to see you guys again. This is always a good opportunity to show you what we have done and what we are doing, so that kind of gives you an idea of some of the work we're doing for stormwater. Again, my name is Wing Tam with LA Sanitation. And good morning, Board President Good and Commissioners and Ted Jordan and Dr. Campos. What we're going to be, myself will be tag teaming with one of my younger staff, Esther Wu, to kind of go through the presentation. But it's opportunity for you to ask a lot of questions too, but to show you what we have done, capture stormwater to be able to deal with some of the upcoming drought as well clean up the stormwater as part of our requirement. At the same time, get opportunity to train some of the younger people in terms of what they're doing as well as presenting to the board. So let me go and introduce Esther Wu. She's one of our younger engineers, and let her go through the and provide that presentation to you.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, Commissioners, and Bureau Representatives. So we'll be reporting on green stormwater infrastructure projects and stormwater capture updates.
So as a quick overview, green stormwater infrastructure projects, also abbreviated as GSI projects, can be grouped into three types. Green infrastructure at the institutional scale, like the LAD program, captures and treats water close to the source of runoff, as in close to where the rain falls. Green stormwater infrastructure at the distributed scale, like green streets, captures and treats runoff from multiple properties and can be placed on the public right-of-way and can be spread out over the neighborhood. Green stormwater infrastructure projects at the regional scale, like lakes and wetlands, captures and treats runoff from larger drainage areas and usually requires more space. So for some brief background on the LAD program, it comes from a city ordinance adopted in 2011 that mandated the capture and treatment of the 85th percentile storm event from all new development and redevelopment site drainage areas. Since the start of the year, more than 1,019 projects constructed LAD components at the institutional level, adding 127.61 acres of drainage area that treats the 85th percentile storm runoff. Moving on to distributed projects implemented by the city. In design, we have two green alley projects, Central Jefferson Green Alley and Quincy Jones Green Alley, both located in CD9 in the South LA area, which will improve about 10 alleys in the neighborhood. In total, the alleys have a drainage area of a little less than 9 acres and captures about 2.5 acre feet per year. Also in design, we have the Reseda River Loop Greenway project that will be improving two street ends with GSIs like biospheres right before they enter the LA River. The project is located in CD3 in the neighborhood of Reseda. The project has a drainage area greater than 50 acres and the annual capture has not been estimated yet. Moving on to regional projects implemented by the city. In design, we have the 9 parks projects that will divert water from storm drains and remove trash and sediment and debris before taking it to large underground galleries to infiltrate. The parks project are located throughout CD2, 6, and 7. Combined, they have the projects have a drainage area of about 5,419 acres and an estimated capture of 2,996 acre feet per year. Moving on to the completed projects on the distributed scale. Since January, we completed the San Fernando Green Streets projects that are located in CD2 and CD7. The projects were constructed on the public right-of-way and residential neighborhoods of the valley. Project components consist of rain gardens, catch basins, pre-treatment chambers, and infiltration drywalls. The program as a whole captures runoff from 587 acres and has an estimated capture of 469 acre feet per year. So this shows some before and after photos for the intersection of Gentry Avenue and Van Nowen Street, which is part of the San Fernando Valley Green Streets program. As you can see in the photo to the left, this intersection had terrible drainage. Water would pond, overtop the curb, and be a driving and pedestrian hazard for hours after rain events. Photo to the right shows the same intersection after a rain event, after the project installed catch basins and drywalls. You can see a visible improvement, a dry street in comparison, and no ponded water. This slide shows some before and after photos near the Victory Boulevard and Goodland Avenue. Also part of the San Fernando Valley Green Streets projects. Photo to the left is before the project, can see ponding throughout a good length of the median. Photo to the right is after the project, no ponded water, and can see water going into the catch basins there. The catch basins connect to underground drywalls, and the water is infiltrated into the ground. This slide shows some photos of the ribbon cutting events we had for these projects. Thanks again to President Good for participating and commissioners for authorizing these projects. Moving on to regional scale projects, the Argo Drain project is about 98% complete. It's located in CD11. The project diverts water from storm drains. Trash, debris, and sediment are removed as water passes through engineered screens and a clarifier before going into a huge underground tank with an open bottom for infiltration. As you can see in the photos, the tank is really big and can hold around 8 million gallons of water. The photo at the top left shows the tank during construction. Photo on the bottom left shows the final condition, with the tank covered and the soil on top leveled out so it looks like a regular field. Photo on the right shows the inside of the constructed tank. And yeah, it could probably fit many two-storied houses. So it's pretty big. And this slide shows the grand opening for the Argo Drain project. The next few slides summarize the rain events that occurred since January this year. The 4 largest rain events this year so far was on January 28th, where it rained 0.91 inches, January 29th for 0.67 inches, March 10th for 0.8 inches, March 15th for 0.28 inches. These aren't large events. For reference, the 85th percentile rain event is about 1 inch. And since the rain events have been smaller, since all the rain events have been smaller than the 85th percentile design storm, we can say essentially that all the rainfall that fell in our project drainage areas were captured. According to the USC campus rain gauge, we only received about 40% of our average rain year. So we only received 5.82 inches versus the historical average of 14.25 inches for that rain gauge. And based on the rain since January, our previous constructed city projects and OID program captured an estimated total of 911 million gallons, which is the size of about a little less than 1,400 Olympic-sized pools. To clarify, by captured, it's referring to the volume of water that was either flow-through treated or infiltrated into the ground. This slide shows the rainfall, monthly capture, and cumulative capture volume by month. And orange is the rainfall for the month. Dark blue bars are the captured volumes for the month, and the light blue bars are the cumulative capture volumes for the month. Moving on to the next slide, this graph shows the amount of rainfall LA had since October compared to the historical average rainfall. And light blue are the rainfall inches LA had each month, and dark blue is the historical average rainfall inches for each month. As you can see, there's less rainfall in every single month of the rain season, and there was 0 inches of rainfall in February, which is usually our wettest month. And that concludes my stormwater capture presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Wu. Thank you, Mr. Tam. Colleagues, let's open up for questions. I'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I do have a couple question. Oh, and a comment. I like that you're using the Kids Ocean Day picture. Yay! That always makes me feel happy. Okay. Question. These sites are different from last year's sites, right? You have identified a whole new site. How did you identify these sites? What was your requirement or your metric to use?
These sites might have been reused from the last presentation. It's just a continual update on how the projects are going. But if you want to jump in and...
Yeah, so just to give you a metrics on how we select some of these sites, it's a combination of metrics. We integrate water quality, that is areas in the city that has the highest priority of in terms of water quality benefits, meaning where are the areas that we rank them as high, medium, low. And then we also integrate areas where has high potential for infiltration, meaning be able to capture that water to allow it go into the ground as part of water supply. Now, when we did a lot of that work early on, we actually worked with a number of agencies like Water and Power and other agencies to come up with these criteria. So some of these projects that you see, like the one we completed in the San Fernando Valley, is right directly into our aquifer, be able to capture that water, as well as some of those park programs. Now, some of these other projects you see, our goal, because in near the west side or that location is more about water quality benefit because they don't have as much of an aquifer issue as out in the valley. So we have a combination of both criteria.
Yeah, completely understood. I live in the valley, and when it rains, but we're doing a good job of minimizing the flooding here. And
right. Actually, you mentioned that I forgot about that. One of the main reasons for the expansion of that valley is because in that area, there's no storm drain.
Yeah.
And you know that already by all the flooding. And there's a picture that shows we're in front of the pastry shop. I was talking to the owner, and he says they get flooded every year it rains right into their door. So we specifically target areas that are like that to put in these infrastructures that prevent that flooding. So when we had that big rain in January, they were not flooded. They were happy.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the focus in the valley because we don't. And as soon as it rains hard, kids still have to walk from school and so forth, and they walk through puddles, huge puddles of water, to the point that I always remember that the trash cans kind of, once it gets rain and the trash cans are out there, they're like swimming throughout the whole
flow away. Yes, I see that. Yes,
yes.
I see that.
So you have to trace it down and figure out which one's your trash can. So
you him, Fernando.
Yes, I appreciate that your presentation. And is there a way that I can get a copy of this? It's specifically the one that you're identifying where the rain is, how much of rain did we get, how less, and so that helps us also organize ourselves with the rain barrel giveaway. So I appreciate that one too. Thank you.
That's fine. Yeah, we could provide to you.
Thank you so much. That's all for me, President Good.
Thanks, Vice President Garcia. And Mr. Tam and Ms. Wu, I'd love to get the deck as well.
Okay.
President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
Yeah, I'll just ask about the goals and objectives. I realized that we were unable to realize the amount of water that we were able to obtain during the prior year. And so with this underrepresentation of water based upon the prior year, were we able to achieve our goals and objectives in terms of the very small amount of water that we received for the past year?
Commissioner Davis, I think we have, because a lot of our project, even though we build them for capturing stormwater, during this year, because of the rain event we have is below average. So all our projects actually capturing every drop that falls into that area there because of our design for these projects is, I think Esther mentioned the 85th percentile, which is a 1-inch rain. For this area has been less than that. For previous year, we actually had too much rain because our facility was only capturing the 85th percentile, which is the 1-inch rain, and we actually, certain months, it was higher than that. So some of it has to go bypass just downstream. But at least this year, we say we actually achieve all the rain that we capture. But of course, we wish there was more, but that's just the nature of every season.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Closo.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Tam. Thank you. Also did a great job. You for you're presenting for the stormwater update for the first time, so great job. I don't have too many questions. I think that I would love to see some of these storm drain projects. I know there's this one was specifically focused on the valley, including streets, but would love to see it expand and figure out even what opportunities are there to partner with some projects where we know there's going to be a lot of major work being done. Like I know we just talked about the Destination Crenshaw project in South LA, for instance, since they're doing so much work there, if there's any opportunities while they're already in the streets, right? because I know that's one of the things too that we could be better at is how do we, not touch the streets too many times, but if it's already being opened up, how can we build off of that? And then the only other thing I'll say is I think these before and after photos too are really helpful for the public to understand the benefit of stormwater capture projects. Would love to see some of these be included if there's any for our next town hall meetings that we do in different council districts. That would be a great benefit, especially when they see the pooling of their streets that no longer is there. I think it's harder it's easy to take for granted that these projects don't just happen on their own, that they were a very concerted effort to capture every drop. And with that, I'll just conclude in saying I want to also thank Vice President Garcia for the Rain Barrel program, as well as LA Stan and all the partners involved in there, because that's really how, every day people can easily do stormwater capture on their own is by participating in her program. And I think it's such a great way to talk about water capture and water preservation, because slide number 14 is super alarming. Zero rainfall is pretty scary to see those levels in the way that you presented this. I think really hits home, at least for me, about how much work we need to do to expand all the stormwater capture programs that you've presented before. So thanks for your work, Mr. Tan and Ms. Wu. Great job.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we always have good ideas. Yeah, we will take all the suggestions you mentioned.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I really appreciate the report. It's nice to see you, Wing, still at it after years. And thank you, Esther, for your presentation. I feel that it's always good to talk about this issue and just provide the board with an update. It seems like you all have such a sophisticated program. I like that the program has obviously increased after Proposition O and now going after a lot of funding for the Safe Clean Water program from the county and just with the three watersheds that Los Angeles City is involved with. And I know that, actually, let me ask you, I'm not sure, how often will we be getting these updates? Are they like every 6 months or are they quarterly? Do we know, Fred? Or I'm not sure.
This Wing here, it's scheduled every quarter. Of course, it depends on your board schedule, but it's supposed to be a quarterly update.
I see.
Yeah, okay. It's really up to us, Teresa, which I'm perfectly comfortable with keeping it a quarterly.
Yeah, that's fine. It's good just to be able to have the rest of the board be able to hear of all of the projects and some of the good projects that, our Safe Clean Water program was able to fund on round 2. And seeing so I know that the list will grow, so that was my intent, just to be able to share with the rest of the commissioners, the project selection and then, funding for these projects. And funding for these projects are in the multi-million-dollar range, so everybody knows. And there is a distribution amongst all of the City of Los Angeles, not just what we see today as the program evolves. Just seeing some of the slides, though, as you have up on the screen here, does LA Sanitation, if you can share with us, do you have prep work already done for submittal to the state, or how that's going to be done or handled for any kind of state funds that the governor, issued the $5 billion for the entire state? How are we preparing for that?
This is Wing here. We are looking at some of the upcoming projects. that, like you mentioned, have some state clean water program money as potential to also take advantage of utilizing the government's money. I don't have a lot of the information here with me per se, but if you like, we could actually provide briefing cues, also talk about, what are some of the upcoming projects and what are different funding sources. But yeah, we have been working with that and looking at that and how to be able to utilize that as often. What you see, a lot of these projects we have right now is fully funded. It's pretty much moving forward, and they're in construction. So, but we'll try to take advantage as much as we can with any upcoming funding. Even the newly improved, federal government funding, which is the infrastructure plan that they have. So we are looking at all those opportunities.
Okay. We could talk offline. Yeah, I would like to brief just on state and Fed, potential projects and see what you all have lined up for that. Just moving forward so that funding is also lined up with our local asks as well. And I know that, the city does receive at least $34 million annually through the Safe Clean Water Program. And that is our local return funds. So just wanting to put that on record, but I just want to, just on a separate, briefing, just on the state and the federal funds. That would be good.
No, definitely we would do that. And just to add to you about the local funding, we are getting a lot of that local funding, and what's the nice thing about the State Clean Water Program is that it provides that money for O&M. As you know, in the past, Prop O and every other funding does not provide for O&M. So a lot of the projects we constructed, now we're trying to use that local return money for our O&M projects. So a lot of that money, 34, even though people are thinking that's a lot, but we're actually using quite a bit of that for all the projects we completed. I mean, we completed hundreds of projects already, $500 million worth of project already. So they need O&M money. So that's what we're using for.
True. That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. As the city is just doing a lot of prep work right now for a tree financing measure, propositions prevent us from doing O&M, ongoing maintenance. However, Prop 218, such as the Safe Clean Water Program was, that mechanism allows for the opening and opportunity to be able to, use money for operations and maintenance. And so I just wanted to raise that for our board, as we'll be seeing those items come before us as well. And just last, the Streets Los Angeles, Streets LA is also involved, works closely with LA Sand just on a lot of nexus between trees and streets and water quality. So I just wanted to point that out because I know that we don't work in silos and our bureaus have been working closely together. And I saw some of the Green Street projects that you all have on there, which, speaks to this, green stormwater solutions. So thank you for that. I don't have any further questions or comments. I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I don't either. Thank you very much for the report. We'll keep this on quarterly, and Wing and Ms. Wu, if y'all can send the deck to Dr. Campos, he'll circulate to the commissioners as well. So with that, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the decks?
Yes, you have.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great
Public comment?
You missed it. Have a great weekend, everyone, and this meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Public comment?
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, public comment was called at the beginning of the meeting.
You're violating the Brown Act.
Meeting's over.